Hi everyone, my name is Joseph and welcome to Digimon Liberator, the novel portion. So before I actually start, just want to quickly explain part of the hair. So I know I keep mentioning the length of the hair from the back, but I'll be honest with everyone, my hair is actually curly / wavy. And when I typically do these videos, my hair is damp or wet because I've woken up and done my morning routine. So it only looks long from the back, but as my hair dries up, it starts going up. So I'm just explaining that because I'm not going to lie, I don't like the length from the back. I am planning to get a trim eventually, but for right now when my hair is actually dry and I have my product on, it doesn't look as the way it like this. To me it feels like I have a mullet, and even though I know I don't have a mullet. But anyways, that's a tangent. I wanted to quickly explain that because I see myself in my reflection. So thanks for your patience in regards to that. But anyways, let's go ahead and discuss the web novel. So before we talk about the subject matter itself, my plan to the web novel is going to be as follows. So as already stated with the comic, the webcomic will update every 2 weeks, while as the novel, as of now, the plan is to update every 3 weeks. At first, I was concerned about that because, well, this would mean that more than likely there's going to be one Sunday where I won't have any Digimon new content to discuss, specifically from Liberator. I was coming up with some ideas and plans to shore that up, cover up that little hole, but I'm not sure if it's going to be consistent or if it's just because it's the first chapter. I'm struggling with that word a little bit. I'll explain shortly. But I'm not sure, again, this would be consistent, but the set of chapters that we got for the web novel was actually 4. 2 parts for chapter 1 and 2 parts for chapter 2. So I draw that word. I said chapters. I drew it out on purpose. Excuse me, I can't talk sometimes because if one recalls when Digimon Seekers first started, we were actually getting a new part of the chapter 1 for 1 full week. And then after that, it came out weekly, with sometimes it being bi-weekly for some small changes. So that's what I mean. Obviously, there's a difference here. With Digimon Seekers, we're only getting parts for chapter 1. But the reason why I kind of was a bit iffy with that word chapters earlier was because Liberator released Liberator released the first 2 chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2 for the web novel. It's just split into 2 parts for a total of 4 portions. So with that explained, since there's 4 portions for me to discuss, I don't want to go through it all quickly. And also because I want to not read everything and then have to wait for a whole 3 weeks for new material to release. I made the choice, like with the end of Digimon Seekers, where the epilogue came out about 3 to 4 weeks after the last set of chapters. I'm just going to read these portions 1 week at a time. So for this video, it's only going to cover Digimon Liberator, the web novel, Debug 1-1. And next week we'll do Debug 1-2 and so forth. So hopefully that makes sense. With that explained, let's go to begin the discussion of Digimon Liberator, the web novel. So right off the bat, we get the introduction to our characters, and our characters is going to be Impmon and Yuuki. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the name is spelled Y-U-U-K-I. And I'm not going to lie, when I first read this portion, I was a little bit standoffish towards Yuki's character, just because she was very much acting in such a way that I typically don't like my protagonists to act. So she was a little bit immature, a little bit immature, unsympathetic towards Impmon's plight, and she also seemed to understand why he was upset, but she wasn't really trying to, or rather, she wasn't trying as hard as she could to remedy the situation. But as I read the chapter, the portion, my opinion slowly started changing, and by the end I thought to myself, oh, okay, so there's a reason to why she operates in the way that she does. And reading it a second time, it solidified that I am starting to warm up towards Yuki's character. I won't say that I do like her entirely yet, but I could see myself starting to like her with the next portion 1-2, or even with the start of chapter 2. So let me quickly explain why she kind of caught me off guard a little bit. So with this instance, I do have quotes. I can't highlight the quotes the way I was able to before, so I just have everything on one page. So the first quote I want to look at is this one. It's very near the start of the chapter. On top of this, her makeup is immaculate. She nods firmly to herself, thinking, I'm on point today. Sporty with a hint of elegance. She should lock out this instant. dash off to, excuse me, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, Harajuku. Oh, I guess I did pronounce that correctly. Dash off to Harajuku and feel utterly confident snapping snelfies, excuse me, let me start that over. Dash off to Harajuku and feel utterly confident snapping selfies for social media. Styles to perfection, bright and adorable Yuuki. And she's speaking modestly, she's unstoppable. But still, so, no, I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of how she's describing herself. She seems like she's a little bit vain, a little bit superficial, but I want to withhold judgment just because if one takes into account their physical appearance, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be lacking in intelligence or a bit slow or dim-witted and so forth, right? That's a stereotype, but I just wish that Yuuki would, I don't mind that she's highlighting that she's quote-unquote on point, but this is probably not the situation to be thinking in that way. And I also understand that she's thinking this way because it's the beginning of the story. It's meant to introduce the audience to the characters. But I think it would have been better if maybe she had some regret, something along the lines of she was so disappointed with the way that everything turned out because she felt like she was so on point. It's too bad that her behavior couldn't match the on pointness of her outfit or something like that, just to acknowledge and highlight that Yuuki is keeping herself in mind, but also her partner, Impmon. So the next quote that I have pointed out, they all actually kind of go together, so I'm just going to read all the quotes. Please, I'll buy you some cute accessories next time, so please forgive me, Impmon. Ha, no way. I won't forgive you until you reflect on what you did. But what if it's like mad cute? But what if it's like mad cute? I don't need no darn cute accessories. And what do you mean by mad cute? Just say it's really cute. On what? I've been meaning to say this for a while, but the way you talk is messing up my mood, and that's why we always fell. So now that I had a second time to read this, the first time while reading this, I was a little bit confused about their relationship, thinking to myself, wow, they're really coming off as abrasive towards one another. But now it's reading it for the second time, I won't lie with everyone. I started to appreciate it's quite clear that they really do have a history with one another, and I think it shines, or not shine. I think it shows through the diction and the wording that's being used. When I first read this for the first time, I was really much on Impmon's side, thinking to myself, yes, the way that Yuuki speaks, the way that she carries herself, I could imagine myself becoming quite irritated after a while. A good analogy about this would be, imagine if one is at work and they have a coworker who's constantly always going like this and, being cute and stuff like that. And she's always being very bubbly, always energetic. We might like that individual as a person, but their behavior might start to grate on us a little bit. It's not that we dislike them, it's just that we don't mesh one for one. If we were to work on a team, we should probably work on different parts of the team, or better yet, work on different teams altogether. So again, the first time I read this, I was thinking to myself, wow, the relationship is really quite abrasive. But the second time, I was able to see that they do have a history with one another, and I could see Impmon's point of view, but I could also see Yuuki's point of view. Two opposites attract one another. I could see how Impmon's behavior and attitude will help to keep Yuuki grounded, but also how Yuuki's attitude will help Impmon to appreciate life a bit more, rather than always being so very judgmental and brooding. So this quote for me had two meanings when I first, well, not two meanings, but two different, it offered me two different perspectives. The first time really putting me on the side of Impmon, but the second time helping me to see that they are friends with one another, and that's just how they behave with one another because of their relationship, because of the nature of their relationship. Having been with Yuuki since the beta testing days, Impmon has been communicating with her like this for over half a year. There is no longer any reserve between them, and they're close to inseparable. Yet despite the despite the closeness of their relationship, Yuuki had never managed to get the hang of how to cheer up this little devil. I know I said I'm sorry, okay? She was fully aware of the fault of her own. She was fully aware that this was the fault of her own. It was clear that their mission had failed because she charged in impulsively. Before I continue, I just want to make a quick comment about the translation. I'm not sure if it's machine translated or if it's translated by a human being, but unfortunately there was a couple errors here and there. Like, for example, I forgot which portion of the passage, but there was the word better. It was spelled more as I think it was spelled as batter, actually. The E and the A was flipped. So I'm Also, I'm stumbling with my words because it is the morning, and I was quite embarrassed by my mullet. Or my hair. That was a stupid joke. So it's a combination of both the writing and also just me stumbling over my words. I don't want to completely blame the writing because it's me as well. You guys have seen in the past with Seekers when the translation was quite fine. I still stumble over my words sometimes. So as always, I do thank you for your patience. But I just want to make a quick commentary about the translation. But continuing forward, so this quote that I just read, I think this reinforces what I just explained. Even before it gets explicitly mentioned that they've already have a relationship, I think the fact that Ipmon speaks to Yuuki in the manner that he does already demonstrated that there was a relationship, there was a history present, even before it's explicitly stated. I do like it when things like that occurs. That's showing versus telling. The first time, I think I was just more on Ipmon's side because, again, Yuuki was rubbing me off the wrong way. I'll be completely frank with everybody. It was not until this portion, this passage, that I start turning a new leaf towards Yuuki. And the reason being, one could probably guess because I'm a big fan of self-awareness, and everyone always called EJ from Seekers a dumb bunny, but he was very astute, very kept in mind, he was very astute and made observations. Acute observations. And I do like this line right here. She was fully aware that the fault was her own. It was clear that the mission had failed because she charged in impulsively. So I like that line because it shows that Yuuki is taking accountability and she is trying to remedy the situation. It's just that the way that she remedies, it's just that the way that she approaches the problem is probably not the way that Ipmon would approach the problem as well. I'm going to keep on reading because the problem gets revealed as we go forward. So the next quote that I have, actually, give me a quick second. Okay, no, never mind. Actually, I didn't quote this portion. Excuse me, but the reason why Ipmon is basically upset is because he wants Yuuki to have a plan. She charged in the first time against two NPCs, I can't pronounce their names, but two ultimate level Digimon, and unfortunately they lost. And Mon's very upset, and we'll cover this in a quote shortly, but he's upset because essentially, well, actually, let me just read the quote itself. Usually losing to a rogue NPC could corrupt a player's character data. However, as part of the Debug team, Yuuki's data is protected by her novel emblem. If not for the emblem serving as a backup, they wouldn't be able to bicker like this now. Ideally, if the emblem functioned perfectly, it could be distributed to all users. I'm going to stop right here. So, essentially, for the fact that Yuuki works for the team of Lacuna to help maintain Liberator, the Digimon game, she has a special item that allows her to maintain her card deck. So basically, it sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh! Everyone's ever seen that show when one loses, they have to give up one of the cards. But it's sounding like it's not just the card, but the entire deck, or one needs to start over. So now we know why Ipmon's so upset, because they lost. They lost because Yuuki was impulsive, and for Ipmon, from his perspective, it seems like Yuuki's not taking this seriously, because for her, it's probably going to be fine. She'll still have her memories. It's going to be Ipmon who's affected by this. I'm sure Yuuki will be sad and disappointed if she lost her relationship with Ipmon, but she'll at least be able to remember that. Ipmon will have to start completely over. So I could totally see why Ipmon's upset, but also going back to what I was saying with the previous passage, she was fully aware the fault was her own. It was clear that the mission had failed because she charged in impulsively. I'm happy to see that Yuuki is taking accountability, and she also demonstrates that he is sympathetic. She understands that Ipmon's upset because of the implications that losing has. Let me go ahead and continue. One might be thinking, but this emblem you just explained, Joseph, allows one to be protected. Ideally, if the emblem functioned perfectly, it could be distributed to all users. However, this feature is still considered an unstable test version. This means that even with the emblem, there's still a chance that user data could be corrupted upon defeat. That is precisely why Ipmon is so angry. As long as the emblem's backup isn't a 100% reliable feature, in other words, as long as there's even a slight chance that they could be separated upon defeat, the mission must absolutely succeed. Darn straight it could have been bad, Yuuki. Yeah, sorry. All she could do was sincerely apologize. There was no defending such recklessness. What had she been thinking? Launching into battle without doing the necessary groundwork. It was her fault. There was no doubt about it. Will you ever stop being so impulsive? Oh, just a little bit more, thought Yuuki. So, although I started roaming up towards her, that last line, oh, just a little bit more. This goes back to what I was stating earlier, that although Yuuki is sympathetic, the way that she approaches problems is going to be different from Impmon. So, let me explain what I mean. So, obviously, Yuki's aware why Impmon's upset. She's taking accountability to recognize that she charged in impulsively, but rather than coming up with a plan to fix the situation and demonstrate to Impmon that she's maybe not changing, but taking the situation more seriously, she spends this time apologizing to Impmon instead of coming up with a plan. And I don't think I saved this quote. Oh, I think I did, but we'll look at it later. I'll read it right now. I'll change, I swear, I'm super sorry. So let's head back to town, okay? Do you even have a plan? Once again, her partner lets out a heavy sigh, but the resigned strong Impmon continues. I don't want to deal with risky, annoying stuff anymore. If you're really sorry, then come up with a plan for them. How confident are you that we can beat them next time, huh? I've got no plan yet. The planning starts now. So for Impmon, he would have much more appreciated and respected if Yuuki came up with a plan right away. So we see that both of these characters, they operate in slightly different ways, despite the fact that they're partners. For example, using Adventure 1, I would argue, had this had been easy, after they had lost, he probably would have been sad, but he probably would have started coming up with what to do fairly quickly. Same thing with Joe. I think Joe would do the same action as well. But someone like Taichi, Mimi, they would focus more on the emotional aspect before they started focusing on the logistics sides of whatever occurred, whatever situation that they're in. So just two different people, or rather two different individuals who operate in the situation in different ways. Impmon obviously would have been more calculating after failing, which he would not have preferred to fail in the first place, who want to make sure that there's a backup plan set in motion. While as for Yuuki, it's not that she doesn't, she acknowledges that she could be impulsive. She does demonstrate that she could learn and change that kind of behavior, but for her, she wants to make sure everything's emotionally okay before she starts coming up with the logistics for what to do next. It's both valid approaches, and I just like that. That's just the reason that excuse me, sorry about that. My cat distracted me. That's the reason. I think it's funny. That's the reason why both of these characters are butting heads currently. Impmon is justified in being upset, but I also think he is being a bit irrational and and Yuuki not having a plan yet when she's been having to spend, as the story states, an hour comforting and hoping Impmon to understand that she is sorry and they'll change, or rather that they'll change tactics after that. So it's funny because by this point I started realizing, oh, Impmon, now you're being a little bit irrational. How about you be sympathetic towards Yuki's perspective now? But continuing forward, let me see. So the planning starts now. After all, we just lost them only a moment ago, Yuuki said. Yuuki honestly responded. It had been less than an hour since the NPCs had defeated them, and since their defeat, she had been entirely devoted to appeasing Impmon, leaving no time to devise any strategy. So I just found that to be a little bit comical in a good way. Here's my last quote that I have for 1-1, Debug 1-1. Stop being like that. Let's think of a plan together. It might have been a necessary thing to say, but she wanted Impmon to accept the reality. It was truly impossible to reflect on and revise their battle strategy in only an hour. It would be easy to lie and try to smooth things over, but without a real plan, it wouldn't be very meaningful. If Impmon asked to hear the plan and she had said nothing, her lie would quickly be exposed. Her only choice was to be honest, and hence the current situation. So by the end, this is when I started liking Yuki's character. Not only is she accountable, but she's also honest. She wants to make sure that she's being upfront, even if she knows that the truth is going to be upsetting. She wants to be open to the people that she works with. I could really much respect that. So again, to reiterate, when this story first started, I was a little bit iffy about Yuki's character, but I'm starting to warm up towards her, and I could totally see myself being Team Yuki, if not with 1-2, then Chapter 2. And with the and then with Impmon, I'm not going to lie, I was biased towards Impmon since he is a Digimon. But by the end of this 1-1, I was thinking to myself, Impmon, you are being a bit irrational. View it from Yuki's point of view. At least she cares enough about you that she wanted to make sure that you're okay before coming up, or before trying to attack these two malfunctioning NPCs again. So 1-1 ends with, so a quick summary. I should have started with the summary. Yuuki and Impmon are at Ruby Mountain, a location that's a little bit far from Locuna, the city, or rather, Ruby Mountain is a high-level area within Locuna, and it's far from the central city. It's away from the central city. They're there to go after two rogue NPCs. Let me see if I can get their names right here. No, it's fortunate, but it's not important. They end up losing. And the story picks up with us viewing as Yuuki tries to appease Ipmon. And then it ends because apparently within the world of Akuna, one is not supposed to get any items after they've lost. They only get items when they've won a battle. And Yuuki is shocked to discover that not only has she received an item, but apparently the item is not appropriate for Impmon. The way that the item system works for Liberator is that whatever Digimon type that you have, all the items that one receives will be in service for that Digimon type. So for example, I'm going to keep it simple. If one has a virus type Digimon, all the cards would be for supporting virus evolution, virus support. You won't be getting anything that's in regards to data or normal types. It'll be just for virus. If one is a dog type, an animal type, and then again, you're only going to get cards for animal type Digimon, no dragon, dinosaur, insect type Digimon. But apparently by the end of this chapter, or 1-1, Yuuki received items that's not only different for Ipmon's character type, but she also receives items just for opening the first item. So imagine if you got a card packet, and then you open the card packet, and within the card packet, you discover that you get more cards. This is another card packet that's not supposed to be occurring, and so there's a bug going on at play here. But for Yuuki, this part ends with Yuuki realizing that she could utilize these new cards to their advantage. I'll go ahead and read the last part. Whoa, what is this card? I have no idea. Several unfamiliar Digimon cards were added to their list. Among the cards were Dark Digimon, Evil Dragon Digimon with names they had never heard. I think I've got it, Yuuki suddenly realized. This could be the very thing they needed. The thought filter with a sense of certainty. Huh? What did you get? Isn't it obvious? Just like you wanted. This gives us a strategy for taking down those rogue NPCs. To be continued. So far, I have to say I think I did enjoy Seekers more with the way that Seekers began. But so far I am enjoying the Debug novel version. I'm hoping I'll enjoy it even more as I get to become more familiarized with the characterization for Yuuki and for Ipmon. But as I said before earlier, the relationship I think is quite adorable. And I think it will become more solidified as we continue forward. I am appreciating how Ipmon behaves one way, while as Yuuki seems to behave another way. Despite the mashing of heads, we're going to see, I believe, that they're actually really good partners for one another. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. My question for everybody is, what did you think of Debug? Are you going to read everything all at once? Have you finished reading everything that's already out? Or are you going to be like myself and just read it once a week? So let me reiterate my question. It's actually two questions in one. What do you think? What's your opinions of Debug? And what's your plan for reading Debug? Have a prodigious day. Everyone take care. And as always, I really do appreciate you communicating and engaging with me. Have a great day, everyone.